Hello, friends. This is a recorded interview coaching session that I had with one of my followers, Mert. Mert has an interview in 2 days and he reached out to me in order for me to coach him with regards to his interview. Now, he's prepped for the interview, so he shares a couple of examples that he has prepared for behavioral interview questions, how to handle and tackle situational interview questions, and other smart interview tips. So, I coach him in this 1 hour long podcast or recorded coaching session. In case you are also interested in having an interview coaching session, or for that matter, any coaching session with regards to career coaching or mentoring, you can simply connect with me using the link that I will leave in the description of this video, where I share the details on how you can reach out to me and book my calendar. Now, without further ado, let's get rolling into that recorded session. So, first of all, how are you doing?
Uh, I'm good. Just a little bit stressed currently because of this interview. I'm like getting ready with my everything to this interview because it's really important for me because I was like looking for a job for a very long time and that's why like I got applied to this job. And after these assessments, like I waited almost 3 weeks to get an answer about this position, and finally they invited me to do this interview. And yeah, so I'm trying to be fine, to be honest.
No, that's fine. And you know, this I understand what you're going through. This is not easy, but one advice I give to young people, and especially if I have to give to my younger self, is everything will be fine. So,
Yeah,
but it's
I
important
hope.
for you to practice. It's important for you to be prepared.
Yeah,
But even if this happens, not happens, you'll find something better, or something even either better,
yeah,
or
it's
this
not
will
the end
happen
of
for
the
you.
world,
So
of course. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like, I wanted to ask you like a few personal questions.
Go ahead.
After my experience, like in ABB, I worked there like 3 years, including my internship. I had to leave the company. It's like my personal reasons. And after that, I started to work like freelancer, and I had like a couple of clients. But these old clients which I was working and receiving the paychecks is like it was like not like official contract was issued between me and the company, and like not there was nothing actually like documented or written down into the contract. So I had like clients like that all the time, but I know that in case of some kind of reference needed from their side, I know that they could write a letter to the, I don't know, PNG or another company to confirm that I've been cooperating with them. They were like taking my help during this time, and I'm a little bit worried about that when it comes to the PNG, because I think that they will ask this question if you have like any a kind of contract when it comes to your uh, freelance working time, you know. And I don't know how to answer this question, like, to be honest.
Why do you think they will ask this?
Usually before I had a few interview. By the way, I'm located in Poland, and they, I don't know why, but they asked me like if you have, when you finish working in Poland, they give you some kind of certificate which shows that between those times you were working in this company and you were responsible for these things, and the reason of the leaving company was like because I wanted to leave and the company accept that, or the other way around, that the company fired you and you just got fired, you know.
No. So, why do you think PNG will ask you for this information?
I don't know. I wanted to ask you like if they ask even like this kind of question.
No.
I don't know. I don't know at all. Yeah, just I
No,
wanted
so
to ask
so
you that.
no, because see, let's assume me. I want to apply for
Hmm.
PNG. I'm working in an organization where things are not going well.
Yeah.
If PNG goes and asks my manager that Bahroz has applied for PNG,
Hmm.
what if he doesn't like it, and that jeopardizes my career? So unless or until PNG has extended me the offer, there is no right of them going back to my employer and asking them and checking with my employer whether or taking any recommendations, because that will hint the employer that I'm about to leave, and that may be bad for me. And what if
Yeah.
PNG, after all this, doing interviews and says, "Oh, we found someone else as a better candidate, and we're not hiring
Hmm.
you." Now my manager knows that I am applying outside. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So no,
Of
no, this
course.
is this is not. I've rarely heard of any companies doing this. Like there are companies which do it, but
Hmm.
there aren't companies like P&G won't, or big companies won't do this.
Okay. Uh, yeah. Okay. If you say so, I shouldn't be
I won't
worried
worry about
about
that.
that.
Yeah, no, I won't be worrying about that. Now, one call out before we move further. In case you find any value from this video, please do press the like button as that keeps me motivated, and also press the subscribe button so you get notified as soon as I put a new content on this channel. On this channel, I post content pertaining to financial and career success for early and mid-career professionals. Additionally, in case you want me to continue making unbiased content, you can support me on patreon.com. I will leave the link to my patreon.com in the description of this video. Now let's get rolling back into the video.
Okay, another question I have, like during my experience, I didn't have actually like any official leadership roles in, for example, ABB or during my freelance time. But when it comes to questions I watch in your videos, there was like questions about leadership. How like define the time when you had to fix a problem, or when you fix a conflict, when there was a situation that you need to overcome and bring the excellent solution to the excellent results to the goals of this task. Yeah. So if I don't have that particular leadership role in my previous experience, how could I answer this kind of questions? Like, should I make it up, or it should be like from my personal life also, not just only professional experience?
No, so the first question is, leadership role doesn't really mean that you have people reporting to you. It
Mm-hmm.
can be any leadership that you presented or demonstrated. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, you can be a finance individual in a team and no one reports to you, but there is a project that you're leading, or you're
Mm-hmm.
leading the people around you. So there is a task you're leading. So it doesn't really even have to be a big project. It could be a particular task that you led and
Mm-hmm.
you made use of others. So kind of you got input from others. You shared a vision with others. You shared with them and a shared objective. You told them how we will go from one area to other. You solved it for them. So leadership is anything. Like it just doesn't have to be people reporting to you. It can be you
Mm-hmm.
leading any work, any task on your day job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand, but it's this kind of questions. For example, like give me an example of time that you were leading and influencing the direction of a project or the team and had to overcome the significant change. So I see like similar questions to that, and actually like I answer those questions. Like, for example, I had an experience with uh, with this significant change, how it impacted the project, and how I show my attitude to my manager and give possible solutions to my manager about this, what we can do.
So let's Mert, let's
Mhm.
take this as an example. Let's do a mock on this. So can you
Sure.
tell me an example where you led a team or led a project, and how did you go about leading it, and what were the results? So share your example, the way you will present in an interview, and I'll tell you how you can improve on that.
So how I was leading and influencing the project, yeah. So for example, as a UX designer, I assisted my manager in making decision to switch from Adobe XD to Figma software for ongoing projects, and the organization recognized that the cost efficiency, and collaborative features of Figma was better, and decided to adopt the all the design system which we have currently based on the Adobe XD would be transferred to the Figma software. However, there was a challenge as some team members had no experience with the Figma, and to help my manager with this situation, I propose like some actions to be like a few actions to my manager, and one of them is like make a research and evaluation, and I conducted research on Figma and compared its features and capabilities to the WXD, and I provided this analysis to my manager, and why we are changing to understand to the Figma. And also I work closely with my manager to assess the team members' skills and identify those who were unfamiliar with Figma, and based on these assessments we devised a training plan to ensure the smooth transition and minimize any disruptions ongoing projects. Yeah. And also for this situation, I also organized training sessions for the team members who had no experience with Figma. I collaborated with trainers and ensured that the sessions covered essential aspects of the Figma. Also, beside that, I gathered the relevant resource and such as tutorials and documentations, best practices to support the team during this transition. Also, I also encourage them to explore and familiarize themselves with the Figma more on their own on places to be more familiar and practice in the real projects. Yeah, and as a result, this made a smooth transition in this project, in this transition, and improved the collaboration and productivity because Figma's collaborative features is better than the Adobe XD, and teamwork increase the productivity of the team. So this is like one example. I'm little bit sweating. Sorry for
No,
that.
no. This is a very good example, by the way. And
Yeah.
this is exactly a leadership example because here you kind of led the project. You led a task. So again, the idea is not that you're leading people, you're leading a task that is good enough. Now, how you can improve this example? So what
Yeah.
you need to do here is you need to make sure that the example or the context that you're building has to be really big, really monstrous, really Goliath-like. So it
Okay.
was so difficult. Like, so you can go about saying, we had this recommendation of changing softwares.
hmm
And when the new software came, there was resistance from the team.
Yeah.
Many of the people in the team, they came back to the manager and they said that they are not okay adapting to this new tool because they've read somewhere or they've heard that it's not productive. And they had many reasons of pushing back. So there was a strong pushback. And hence, because of that, the project was getting delayed. Now I've
Okay.
made it sound so big, so monstrous. So the
Exactly.
idea is now whatever you do, even if it's really simple task, because let's agree and let's accept that when we are coming out of university, when we've had 1 or 2 years of experience, we've not really saved the world, or for that matter, we've not done huge projects. So you've done these small projects. How do you make them look big? The only way you can make any action or any task that you've done make it look big is by making the context look bigger.
Okay.
So people were pushing back, the project was getting delayed, and my manager called me, or you can say I stepped in. I went to my manager and I said, I want to help. And
Yeah.
then I did. So this is one thing. Make sure the context is like you make it sound like the end of the world.
Okay.
Second, when it comes to the actions, try if you can put it in bullets. Because what is happening is that the individual who's taking notes, they are trying to write in bullets. So I don't know if you can see my screen here. I have like
Yeah.
1, I have 2, I have 3, I have 4. So anyone who would be taking notes, the interviewer, rather I was taking more detailed notes, the interviewer would be just writing few bullets. So you have to make it very easy for the interviewer to take notes.
Okay.
So when I would give the action, I'll say, so I did the following 3 things, or I did the following things, even if you don't remember how many they were. Number one is I researched the two softwares and I
Okay.
compared their features and I did an analysis and I did the pros and con analysis so that we can now, why did you do it? So that we can use it to sell to the team that what are the benefits, because they were rejecting the benefits. They were saying this is not beneficial, this will add more
Yeah.
work, and hence I did the analysis. Number two, I did a skill assessment of the team. So I connected with, now, how did you do it? So you have to talk about it. I connected with every team member individually, or I created a survey where I sent them a survey where they would tell me what is their skill level on different things. And I showed them this is just for us to understand and make the training plan. Using that data, and this is anonymous. So using that data information, I made a training plan. And
Okay.
then I did the third thing. Third thing was I organized the training sessions and I collaborated with the teams and all. And number four is I documented. I documented for the team to use it in future. So you've done 4 things. So I'll take 1, 2, 3, 4. And then
Okay.
you also said one thing which you need to say more, which is you said, I encouraged them. But the question
Yeah.
is, how did you encourage them? You have to say that. So I
Okay.
encouraged them by showing them the future. So by telling them that they will be able to save much time, so many man hours by just using the new software. So I was able to convince them, and hence they got encouraged because everyone wants to save their time. So I was able to
Yeah.
encourage them by telling them how much time they can save.
And
And
also,
all
you know,
around, because of these five things, sorry,
mhm,
just let me
sorry.
complete that. All around, because of these five things, we were able to implement the project in no time. We were able to speed up things. There was buy-in and
Mhm,
XYZ.
yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to add to that point that maybe I could say that like I encourage them to switch to the Figma because the Figma also was the feature of the software that every UX designer would be switching to do because of the features which is beneficial, and that's why like for their career itself and for their professional experience that might be useful to have that such kind of skill in their like CV, like
Agree.
let's say that.
Agree. Makes sense. Cool. Now here, let me call out and thank the sponsor of this video, which is Kindle Amazon. Since I've started using Kindle, I have not touched a physical book, and I read a lot. I do a lot of reading, which kind of also helps me create a lot of content that I produce on my channels, either YouTube or other social media channels. The convenience of carrying and storing multiple books, the convenience of ordering any book with a click of a button, the convenience of being able to read at night, all of this just beats any experience that you get from the physical book. In case you are interested in enjoying the convenience of Kindle, you can get one for yourself using the link in the description of this video, as they are the sponsors of this video. Now let's get rolling back into the video. Was this helpful? Like, does it make sense?
Yeah, sure. If you don't mind, I have like also one more question. Maybe
Let's
like you
go.
could
Let's
ask
go.
me and I can give my answer. Is about this. Can you think of the time when you thought that there might be a better way of doing something and which might save a lot of time and makes the life of everyone in the project is like better or easier, let's say. Yeah, there's a similar question to that. I don't know if you understand
Yes,
me
yes,
like
yes.
yeah.
Understand. Go ahead.
So
So tell me, how will you
uh,
answer it?
yeah, I mean, like I have this is I think like one of the biggest or like the biggest success which I had in during my experience at ABB. So there was a situation that uh, for example, as a UX designers, after getting approval for the designs, each teams was starting to start to make the development of this project, and there was an issue because okay, let me roll back little bit by little bit because it's going to be a little bit complicated. So in ABB we have a design guidelines that each UX designer when they design a project they follow this guidelines, and after this design process completed and the development will start, these developers was developing the projects based on the design which we provide them. But for example, uh, let's think about the component which is button. The button, for example, is the same looking and exactly the same, but they are used in the different projects. For example, the team in Poland was developing a button for this specific project, and Indian team also was developing the same button for different project. So there was a like common components which was used in the development, like the buttons, the time scope configurator, the accordions, like which is mostly the commonly used in the applications which we build. So for the ABB side, for the organization, this was consuming a lot of time and money, because, for example, the developer was building the same component over and over again, and sometimes they were like copy pasting the component from the previous project to the next project. But when there is a problem with this component, they have to fix this component in two projects instead of one project. So I came up with the idea that bringing this design guidelines which we have for the ABB to have a like common understanding and common language of the ABB, to bring it back to bring it down to the development level, to have a like common components library. So thanks to this library, we built the commonly used components such as like buttons, inputs, accordions, and these components was like defined how to use them in the project, and when we start to make a new project, they were just installing this package of common components and putting these buttons inputs which was already developed, and this was like increasing the efficiency of the development incredibly. And we have like, for example, also when we have a problem with this one of the components which was like made in under the common components package, we were just fixing the solution under the one source, and all the teams just were updating the project this one click, and was like saving a lot of time for everyone. So this saved the ABB, I think, a lot of money and a lot of time, and it increased the team's efficiency incredibly. Yeah, that's the thing which I want to tell about that. I
Cool.
don't know
Thank you.
if it was okay or not.
No, the context was better. So this time around, you kind of did make a point that the company was losing money, losing time. These are big
Yeah.
things. These are important things. You made the context sound big and, as I said, sound Goliath. So whatever actions you do as David just sounds heroic. Second, the actions, it seemed like you just had one action, and it is fine to have one action or no, which
Yeah,
was
I mean,
to build a library, and then you explained why you built the library.
I mean, to be honest, like I just had the idea of how to make this more efficient, and I presented my idea to the higher managers. Like I have an idea which might save us like a lot of time and money, and it will increase like the efficiency of the teams, and we will have like earlier delivery times for the projects. So after that, we start to talk about building this common components library for the teams in cross functionals from India, from Germany, all around the world. So they were using the same component. So it happened like that. I didn't actually build that. I just came up with the idea, and I just was behind the idea made that to be sure that it happened. I was responsible for it, and I made sure that it's happened correctly and how it should be.
Yeah. So the idea is good, but see, for any company or anyone who wants to hire you, you won't be applying the same idea again. What
Yeah,
they
of
want to
course.
know is, what they want to understand is, whenever there is a situation, how do you come up with ideas?
Okay.
And you didn't talk about in this example, how did you come up with this idea? So one thing could be, you connected with the entire team and you did a brainstorming session. You sat down with them and you like, this is costing us money. This is costing us this much time. So I did an analysis. I did
Yeah.
these many dollars, this much time, because I wanted to get the attention of the management. So I took to the management. I said, because of the way we are operating today, this is how much it is costing us, and this is how much we are charged. And hence, I want approval or alignment to go and do a deep dive or an analysis or an investigation as to how we can solve this. So they were okay with it. This could be one way, or you can say, you already came up with a solution where you connected with everyone, you did a brainstorming session, and they came up with numerous ideas, and then you were able to pick up the one idea which was one of the best ideas, which was more practical, and that was to create a library. And then I worked with the developing team to create that library. So I worked on. So there are a couple of things you're doing. One is you are making sure you influence the management.
Yeah.
You are making sure you explain how you come up with ideas, which is you connect with people, you brainstorm, you come up with ideas. And third, you just don't come up with the idea, but you also make sure you take it up to the execution. So end to end. So
Yeah.
this is what I'm looking for as an interviewer, that every time he has a problem in my company, he faces a problem, he will be able to find the issue, explain me the issue, influence me, generate the idea or the solution, and this is how he generates the solution, and then manages it end to end. So
Yeah.
make it sound like you did a lot of things, and you did them just and how you did them. So explain how you went about it, because the process of idea generation is more important than the idea itself.
Okay, I understand your point. I think I should keep my context richer than now. I think like it should be like more explaining and how I deal with how I came up with this idea, what was the
Exactly.
roadway to that, and how I presented to management team and how I convinced them, how I showed my analysis, how efficient it will be to have such kind of feature for the ABB and consent pros, and then to make sure that this project came alive with the with the expected results.
Exactly. Cool. You have other
Okay.
examples you want to share, or you have other
Uh,
questions?
I mean, like, you can also, like, maybe throw me questions, or I actually, like, have one question to you. I don't know, like, how many questions they do usually ask during the interview. Like, is there any specific number, or it just depends on the person who is interviewing?
Yeah. So see, typically interview is 1 hour long. You have
Yeah.
5 minutes of your introduction.
Hmm.
Then, if you have 5 questions, that is 5 minutes each. That is good,
Yeah.
25 minutes. That adds to your introduction. That's like 30 minutes. Add another 5 minutes of buffer here and there, breaking and them asking the question. So around 35 to 40 minutes will take them asking 5 questions.
Okay.
So probably I would say it's 5 to 6 questions at max. I don't think they will be asking more than 6 questions, because you then also have like last 10 minutes where they will hand over to you and let you ask questions.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
couple of tips: make sure you have a strong intro. I don't know if you've seen the video on my channel where I talk
I've
about how
seen.
you introduce yourself.
I watch
I
all
don't know
your
if it
videos
make
like 2 times, I think.
so I'm sure you found that, like, that's a very non-conventional style of introducing. People typically introduce themselves as just what is on the resume. Try
Hmm.
to make a bond. Try to make a connection with the interviewer. Introduce yourself as a person, your character, your attitude, and then read in some nice projects you've done as well along the way. Like, call out those projects.
If you want, like, I can
Um,
maybe I write down all this intro section as well. If you want, like, I can go through it
so
quickly
so
and.
up to you. If you have another example, you can talk that and the
Uh huh.
intro. Let's do these two things. So let's do the another example, and then we can move
Sure.
into the intro.
Sure. Okay. So maybe this example about when you were able to step into a group, take charge, get support, and bring about excellent results. Yeah. Is that all right for you?
Yes, yes, let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to get step by step up and get responsibilities. During my time as a UX designer at ABB, I encountered a situation where a cross-functional group was struggling with the project, and the team was lacking clear direction and collaboration, and resulting in delays and subpar outcomes. So I recognize that there is a need need of leadership and effective teamwork, and I decided to step and take the charge on this situation. So when it comes to my actions, I came up, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 actions, and first of them was I initiated a meeting with the team members, including stakeholders and developers, to understand the challenge and to gather their perspectives. It was crucial for me to establish open communication channels and build trust within the group. I encouraged everyone to share their concerns, ideas, and expectations regarding the project. After gaining these insights from everyone, the project's complexity, and identifying the gaps, understanding the everyone's opinion, I developed detailed plan and shared it with the team. I emphasized the importance of the clear objectives, defined roles and responsibilities, and regular checkpoints to ensure the progress. So that way, I might this every situation was under control. And to foster collaboration to sport, I implemented the collaborative working environment by setting up the frequent team meetings, encouraging open discussions, so that way that if someone has a concern, that they can just express themselves, and we will cover these concerns immediately. And I also facilitated the knowledge sharing sessions, that everyone shared open online workspace for the team and collaborate efficiently, and share the resources which they have, and it helped to teamwork. It helped to increase the teamwork together. So as a result of this, the team the as a result of this, the team experienced a significant transformation. The previously disjointed group started working closely towards the common goal. The communication improve and leading to better understanding of the project, of the requirements, and reducing the misunderstanding. The team members felt support and empowered due to increased motivation and productivity. Also, the excellent results were evident to the final outcome of the project, and we successfully delivered the high quality product with given timeline, exceeding the stakeholder expectations. The project received positive feedback, and also the team members felt a sense of accomplishment and pride in their work. So this is one of examples which I had.
This was a very bad example. This was a very bad example, and either
Okay.
you need to fix this or you need to get rid of this. And let me tell
Okay.
you the issues.
Okay.
The issues is, you said, building the context, you said the cross-functional team was not performing at par, or was not performing well. You didn't say why, or how do you, the question is, how do you know they were not performing well? So either you say the
Okay.
results were bad, or you say there was bad feedback from, let's say, the global team or the key stakeholders who were involved. They were giving bad feedbacks, so there has to be an indicator. You didn't talk about the
Okay.
indicator. You just said that the team was not performing at the right levels. What are the right levels? How do you determine the right levels? So this is one. So the context was not clear.
Okay.
Then the action that you said was one, as I repeat, I'll say again, when you give the actions, give them in bullets. Number one, I did this. Number two, I did this. Number three, I did this. So you said you did a meeting with the team to understand the challenge. You encouraged them, you gained insights, but you didn't talk about what those insights were. Like, you have to give one or two examples. Otherwise, it sounds very bookish. It sounds like you've read a management book and you're just throwing things from the management books by saying you connect with people, you do the insights, you make a detailed plan, and then you make an action, and then you have deploy the action plan. On the same lines, so this was the bad part, which is the action was okay. What came out of it? The actions were right. Like, it's good to throw those bookish terms, but then you have to make it some. You need to apply those terms and see what comes out of it. So we did a brainstorming session. There were insights that we developed, and three key insights came out. One was this, two was this, three was this, against which I created an action plan. So we can apply those insights and convert them into action. Then I created a feedback loop. So every month we can connect back to the team and see how are they progressing. So use the word feedback loop. But say, what does feedback loop means? Feedback loop means is you connect with the people on quarterly or monthly basis and get their feedback, and so on and so forth. So again, this either you get rid of the example or you need to put more work in the example.
Sure.
Cool. What do you want to do?
I don't know. Like, maybe you want to ask more questions or about this one of the examples which we might have, and let me check if I have additional questions to you.
See, I always say the questions are not important. What is important is your example. You should have 5 to 8 examples listed down. And by the way, make sure you list down and put them in front of you. Here.
Okay.
Those examples should be listed down with different bullets. Now, what happens is when the interviewer asks you a question and you're forgetting which example to make use of, and you know in front of you those 8 examples are listed, you can always say, let me structure my thoughts, or let me think about it. You pick up the pen, you click the pen, and pretend you're writing. And as you're writing, you can pick the right example and say, okay, this is the example I'll speak about. Also, you have some bullets under that example which elaborate what are the things you need to touch on, so you don't forget anything. Then you start sharing the examples, and if you think you're forgetting anything, you can come back to it and see if anything that you're missing is there. But all I'm saying is, don't worry about the question. Make sure you have the examples ready. So your examples should be ready, and which are more important. So I want to ask you a question. Rather, I'll let you tell me if you have any other example that you want to share and how you will share it. And then I'll help you understand if we can make it better.
You mentioned that, so for example, can I have some kind of notepad that's, I don't know, something like that, for example? Like that, and check it?
Like, don't show them. Don't show them, but keep it down. don't
Yeah.
refer to it every time. Like every time, if you're looking down and reading through the notepad, then it's bad.
Yeah,
But once or
that's
twice,
kind
it
of
would be
biased.
nice to just say, as if you're pretending to take a note, look at your notepad, pick up
Mm-hmm.
a bullet, and then share it. One more thing, by the way, I would suggest you sit a bit back the way I'm
Oh,
sitting, so at least
yeah.
they can see your hands. The
Okay.
beauty is, it seems you will be more expressive because you're not in person, right? In person, when you're in
Yeah.
person, you are expressive, you share emotions, and you go like, it was very difficult. Like I go like, it was very difficult. The company was
Mm-hmm.
losing money, and we were losing time, and that is where I came in. So I did a few things. Number one, I did this, and number two, I did this. Now I'm very expressive as well in terms of how I use my hands. There are people who come
Mm-hmm.
from different cultures. So
Yeah.
culturally, I'm very expressive, not traditionally. Culturally, I'm very expressive. I'm not sure about you if so culturally, I'm very expressive. So I'm not sure about
Yeah.
you if you're expressive equally. But the idea is see if you can use your hands and gestures and expressions more.
Can I like? Should I use my hand? I don't know. Like I was sitting like that, but maybe that's why it didn't work out. But I was using a little bit my hands. I don't know the because of the angle of the camera or something else, but it shows me very close to the camera, which I'm
No,
not
so
actually. Like.
yeah, but I see you the further one as well.
Uh-huh.
Here on the live stream, you seem small, which
Ah,
is the
okay,
case with me as
okay,
well.
okay.
But I can see the other version of you as well.
All right,
But
all right,
still,
okay.
if you see, you'll find me much further away
Mm-hmm.
with my
Yeah,
hands and all versus you. Uh, Again, this is just one suggestion which you can put
sure.
in just to sound as if you're more energetic, you're passionate, you're active.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Can I ask also one thing that, for example, there are some core elements in these questions. For example, like what you do when you have a conflict with someone or with a project, or for example, what you do to how do you overcome obstacles which you face in the project, and that kind of core elements they usually ask. I wanted to ask you like if you have some kind of, I don't know, mostly common ask questions for like the core elements. Yeah, there might be variations of that, but the core is the for example, the conflict you faced, or you needed to make a quick decision or a quick delivery on the project. How do you deal with that? Do you have any kind of like this core subjects for this interview?
Yeah, so there will always be questions for which you may not have an exact answer. Let's take one.
Hmm.
Tell me about a time when you had to pivot from a particular way of doing things and you had to change the course of the project. Now you can't
Okay.
think of anything where you really change the course of the project. So what you'll have to
Yeah.
do is it's either slightly have to make up a bit things like exaggerate a bit, or
Hmm.
you can say I did have an instance where I changed the course of the project, but I have a project where things were just not going right, and I stepped in and I kind of helped the project. And then you can kind of share the same example where there was a project which came in where they were applying a new software
Hmm.
and everyone was rejecting, everyone was pushing back, and I came in and so now it's kind of sounds that the answer is very much right.
Yeah.
So
I
what
mean,
I'm saying is you can always change the question a bit and say, I have an example which is slightly related, and then you can bring in your example. And that's why I continue to say that it is far more important to have the right examples than to try to answer a particular or try to prepare for the question. If you prepare for the question and that the question doesn't come, you'll be at a loss. But if you prepare for the example, you know that you can use this example and fit it anywhere else.
yeah, you're right. Actually, I was pushing myself to have at least like one answer to each questions.
Oh,
Listed
no,
all the
no, no.
questions you mentioned in your videos, around, I don't know, like 60 of them I have, and I was trying to like give at least like I don't know, like the have some kind of answer to each question. But I understand each time when I give an answer to each question, I see the similarities between the questions,
Yes, yes.
and instead of like giving each answer like different examples, maybe I might have like, I don't know, instead of having 40 answers, I might have like 10, and this 10 might cover, I don't know, 40 questions, depends on the situation. I came
Yes,
up with that.
so once you have your 10 examples listed, you list down those 26 questions, whatever they are, and then
Hmm.
see which example you can use to answer. And what you want to make sure is that there is no question for which you don't have an answer. So all the questions should have some kind of an answer. Usually, what happens is you will have a lot of leadership examples, idea examples, leading a team, leading a project, you may not have a conflict example. And when you see a question which says, tell me about a time when you had a conflict with your colleague or manager, and you go like, oh, I don't have this example here in the top 5, 8, or 10 examples. And then you'll have to write a weak, shallow example about a conflict to make
Hmm.
sure that everything is covered. So you won't have, what I'm saying is, you don't need to have an answer to every question. Rather, you need to have examples which can cover all of the questions. The idea
Okay.
is focus on your examples and make sure you use your best examples first. Because when you list down your 5, 8, 10 examples, list them
Hmm.
in order of best to worst or best to weak. And make sure the best ones are, because you don't want to come out of the interview realizing that you didn't speak your best examples just
Yeah.
because you were so much focused on trying to answer the question as against trying to tell them the good stuff that you've done. Cool.
Uh,
On your resume, there is,
yeah.
I had one comment.
Sure.
You
Just.
listed more of the things which explain what your role was, as against listing down the achievements you've had or the projects
Hmm.
you've done. So, for instance, if I go here and I read design wireframes, prototypes, and high fidelity mockups for mobile and web application based on user centered design principles,
Yeah.
design
Uh,
thinking, and agile project management. So it sounds like more you're explaining the role, what you do, versus saying what you achieved. So I don't know if there is way for you to add few, and I know it's difficult because especially when you don't have a lot of experience, it's difficult to put things which you've achieved because there are so many big projects you work on. But see
yeah.
if there is a way you can put in your achievement. So I was able to solve or design a product that was able to reduce the time of or usage by or number of man hours involved by 10% because of this and
Okay.
that. So something on those lines. At least one or two bullets in every section would be good.
Okay. Is it just valid for the part about
No,
that I am
valid for both.
freelancer, or
Valid
valid
for
for the both?
both.
Okay. I mean, like in this
No, so
ABB
for
section.
instance, the second one is much better, but says something says knowledge about product lifecycle and design process. What is this?
I mean,
Providing design for mobile web and make usability testing. Okay, so what? The answer is the piece is you need to think, so what? What did you
okay.
do with that? I did this, I saved the company this, or I was able to reduce or optimize this. And
Hmm.
how did you do it? So you have to weave that in.
Okay. I just
Again,
noted that.
not for this interview you need it, but for later jobs that you apply, maybe would be nice to have a look at it from that angle.
Sure. Sure. I just noted that. Okay. So, for example, maybe stational questions. You and other colleagues are working on a project, and all of you have conflicting personalities and working habits. Therefore, there is no collaboration. This has led into missed deadlines and missing on objectives. What would you do to help make the team more effective? So here, like the team consists of three colleagues with conflicting personalities and working habits, and this lack of collaboration has resulted in missed deadlines and failing to achieve objectives. Uh, and I am aware of the importance of teamwork and effective communication for successful project outcomes. So my question is that actually here that this is kind of stationary question. So the context should be here that I am clearly aware of what you are asking, and next I am explaining I understood what you're asking, and the next I will explain my action. So I have just one question about this car system in stational questions, because how do you explain the context in that kind of situation?
Yeah, so in a situational question, there is no context, right? Because the context is already
Yeah,
given to you. So you just need to
yeah,
work on the
exactly.
action and the result. Here, the best advice which I gave previously as well, tell them I need some time to think.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've gone through the situational question videos that I have on my channel where I talk about how to
Mm-hmm.
answer situational questions. And they are typically speaking 2, 3 frameworks. If it's about conflict and people not being able to work together, or you have a conflict with a particular individual or a manager and
Mm-hmm.
all, there is a certain framework. One is you need to listen to understand. So I would just write it down before in my notes. Listen to
Okay.
understand, which is you talk to the person and understand where they're coming from. Second is help them understand where are you coming from. So have that thing. That is number two. Number three
Okay.
is understand their and your objectives, or the objectives of the organization or the goal of the organization, and see if they understand that piece you understand, and both of you, if what you're trying to do matches that. So you need to always bring them back to the objective. A
Okay.
certain individual may be trying to drive sales, but the objective of the company is to drive profits. So you can always resolve the conflict by saying, I know you want to drive sales, but the company wants us to drive profits. And the reason I'm saying that we need to take this choice is because I want to do what the company is asking me to do, and I want to deliver on that objective. I know you might have a different objective, but
Hmm.
that is in conflict with company's objective. So either you go and resolve it with your manager, and I'm ready to help you, or come with you and talk to your manager, or you understand the point of view where I'm coming from. So listen to understand, help them understand you, and bring them
Yeah.
back to the objective, or the goal of the or the purpose for which you're working. Imagine
Can
you
I?
have these three things.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
No, please go ahead. Sorry.
Imagine you have these three things already listed down in front of you, and suddenly they ask you a question about conflict. You can say, let me think about it. Look down, scribble, and just say, number one, I'll do this. Look down, number two, I'll do this. Look down, number three, I will do this. So you have your notes in front of you, and you can just talk about them.
Like when it comes to my actions in this example, it was kind of similar what you mentioned, and it made me a little bit happy. Like the first step which I will do is like open the communication channels, encourage the team members to openly express their thoughts, concerns, and ideas. Create a safe space for discussions, and everyone feels like comfortable sharing their opinions. Uh, and the second step will be like understanding and making empathy to each team, making empathy. So conduct a team building activities and exercises that promote the understanding and empathy among team members. And this could help them to recognize each other's strengths and weaknesses and working styles. And the third one is define the clear roles and the responsibilities. So clearly define the roles and responsibilities of each team member to avoid the confusion and conflicts. So ensure that everyone understands their specific tasks and deadlines and deliverables. So the last one will be the mediate the conflicts and facilitate the compromise. So it's like act as a mediator in case of conflicts and help the team members find common ground, encourage them to engage constructive discussions and find compromises, accommodate different viewpoints. If necessary, provide guidance and conflict resolution techniques, or involve natural third party facilitate discussions. So this is a little bit like too over detailed, I think, but
No, so
uh,
make sure you
yeah.
talk about the how. So, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, when you say I will make sure that we establish strong relationships. How? How
Okay.
is that you will have team building activities, and you will play
Yeah.
together, you will connect together. Good. I will
Mm-hmm.
make everyone share their point of view. How? I will run a session where everyone gets chance to share what is that they want, what is their objective, and how do they think we can achieve that. I will
Mm-hmm.
try to bring them everyone on the same. I will try to bring everyone on the same page. So how would you do it? I will bring in the company's objectives and lay them down and do a brainstorming session. How do we achieve those objectives, or how do we align our objectives to the company's objectives? And we'll do a brainstorming session. So make sure you always talk a how versus just giving bookish
Okay.
phrases, which you're not doing. You had some hows as well, but make sure every phrase or point of view should come with a how.
Okay. Yeah, sure. And one more question I have actually. They mentioned that there will be like two rounds of interview. The first one will be the tomorrow, and the second one, in case of I will be selected, there will be the second section. And what do you think that like, there will be in the second interview? It's
Same,
gonna be the
same
same?
questions. Almost same
Okay.
questions, similar format. Similar questions, same format.
Mm-hmm. And do you suggest to give the same answers, the same examples, or like it might be like it has to be different examples?
No, you can give the same example. See, what you need to do, this is what your frame of mind should be. You should give
Mm-hmm.
your best examples every time. So even if
Okay.
that means that you're repeating your examples, but they are the best examples, just repeat. Don't
Okay.
repeat everything. Like, it would be nice if one or two examples are different,
Hmm.
And they should be different because there's a different individual who's asking you the questions and he's asking you different questions. So it should be different. But other
Okay.
than that, make sure your top examples are always coming in the interview.
All right. And
Cool.
do you know, like, is there any kind of technical questions regarding to this IT manager positions, or is just like questions regarding to leaderships, like the questions which we have?
Yeah, there will be. So the typical format is behavioral and situational questions. If
Hmm.
there is a technical interview, they will call it out. They'll tell you it's a technical interview. I
Okay.
think it would be nice if you have time, you can check with the recruiter and make sure you can ask them if there will be any technical questions. Doesn't hurt.
Hmm.
But other than that, I have a video on my channel where I talk about how to address technical interview questions. You can check that out as well.
All right. Thank you.
Cool. Anything else?
No, I think I'm good. Just I need to now like write down at least like 5 or 6 achievements which I have in my previous. I actually like wrote down a lot of them, but just I want to make top 5 or top 8, 6 or whatever the number is that, and just get ready for these questions. And during the based on the question, I might just I need to be ready to convert the examples which I have. Yeah. And I don't have any more questions. It was really nice to talk with you and nice to meet with you actually. And I am very, appreciated what you are doing in YouTube. You're helping like thousands of people. You can't even imagine. It's not just people which is like commenting and watching, liking the videos. There are like thousands of them, like unseen heroes or unseen
I'm sure.
people. Yeah.
Thank you, man. This is I really appreciate it. I really enjoy this, and this is why I do this because I can connect with people like you. I can learn about them. I can help them, and this is what really makes my day. So thank you. Keep me posted, and best of
Sure.
luck.